Good evening, everybody. A major victory for President Trump and congressional Republicans. The House of Representatives today approved the biggest overhaul of the tax code in 30 years, sending it to the president's desk, where he is assuredly to sign it. We'll discuss the historic achievement with Counselor to the President, Kellyanne Conway. She joins us here tonight. Also, President Trump celebrating historic tax cuts as Democratic obstructionists threaten a government shutdown. Congress faces a deadline of midnight Friday to pass spending legislation. Dozens of Democrats, however, are vowing to withhold their support unless children of illegal immigrants are protected from deportation. And more evidence of corruption at the highest echelons of the FBI and the Justice Department. FBI Deputy Director Andrew McCabe reportedly playing dumb today on who funded the discredited Trump dossier. That despite the reported existence of documents on the dossier's funding with McCabe's very own signature upon them. We take up the efforts to root out the deep state, talking tonight with Congressman Matt Gaetz. Our top story, President Trump today declaring victory, celebrating the passage of his signature legislative achievement, tax reform.
It's been an amazing experience, I have to tell you. Hasn't been done in 34 years, but actually really hasn't been done because we broke every record.
The president coming away with a cut in the corporate tax rate from 35 to 21%, a cut in the top tax rate for individuals from 39.6% to 37%, a doubling of the standard deduction in child tax credit, and a big reduction in taxes for small businesses. The tax reform bill also eliminating the tax penalty in the Obamacare individual mandate.
It's always a lot of fun when you win. If you work hard and lose, that's not acceptable.
And it was Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell who took the opportunity during the South Lawn ceremony to praise the president.
This has been a year of extraordinary accomplishment for the Trump administration.
Well, Orrin Hatch also saying without any hesitation whatsoever that this may be the greatest presidency in history. President Trump now turning his attention to a deal to keep the government funded. The White House is confident that they'll get a month-long continuing resolution that would keep government running until the 19th of January. Our first guest here tonight to discuss the president's historic achievement and his assurance that the tax measure will supercharge our economy. Joining us tonight is Kellyanne Conway, counselor to the president. Great to have you with us, Kellyanne, and congratulations.
Thank you, Lou.
Just an extraordinary achievement for the president, for the administration, for the Republican Party.
We look at it, the president looks at this as a big win for the country, for the hardworking men and women of this nation, our job creators, our job seekers, and certainly our job holders. They deserve a break, and they will keep more of their hard-earned money. He has established himself as the paycheck president. As was noted today, Lou, in that very amazing ceremony outside on the South Portico, with the president flanked by the leadership in the House and Senate and the Republicans in Congress. Unfortunately, no Democrats showed because no Democrats voted for this these tax cuts. But as was noted today, people will start to see the relief beginning in February in their paychecks, and then on April 15th. They know they're facing the IRS again this coming year, knowing that our tax code will be very different, that most filers will have a much more simple way of filing their taxes, that families will be able to have more money to decide what to do. We had families here last week said some would make home renovations, some would invest in education, some would give it to charities.
Well, that's the beauty of individuals making market choices for themselves and leaving that money in the pocket of the American taxpayer. It's been a very long time since we've had that opportunity. Let's turn to this, what's likely to happen, because we've had a pretty good indicator all along. From the day the president is elected, we have watched $6 trillion be added to the equities markets. We have seen the economy itself grow at rates that we were told by the previous administration were no longer possible.
That's right.
And we were talking about an administration that was thrilled to achieve something approaching 2%. Already this president, this economy has posted 2 consecutive quarters of 3% or higher economic growth. Right now, the earliest readings on our fourth quarter is approaching 4%
That's right.
economic growth. And now to add the stimulus of this historic tax cut, it is certainly an intriguing thought to contemplate what lies ahead for this economy.
And so many Americans that we talk to see this. They feel it. They see it in their 401ks. They feel it in their investments. And they look at the stock market numbers and they realize that consumer confidence, small business confidence, the stock market itself are just skyrocketing. And at the same time, the unemployment numbers are.
Well, it looks like we've lost a satellite. So we're told it's back. Can we go then to Kellyanne? Sorry about that, Kellyanne.
Oh, no problem. As I was saying, the tax cut and reform package, Lou, is really the centerpiece of the overall President Trump economic agenda. And this is a very important centerpiece today. But remember, it was preceded by him getting rid of these job-killing, overwrought, expensive, duplicative, unnecessary regulations. He's cut more regulations and red tape than any president in the first year.
And he's only getting warmed up. We should point that out. And he's only getting
warmed up. There's no question. But we hear from job creators and job holders all the time. We say, wow, this really helped because I've been hounded with compliance and compliance costs. It's just so, I just want to do my job. I just want to create wealth and jobs. And so, but this is the centerpiece. But the other thing the president's done is he's opened up energy. ANWR was included in here. You saw the Alaska delegation come forward and say,
we're going to be here a long time, Kellyanne, if you keep going through everything this president has done.
And don't forget
in 11
repealing the Obamacare mandate. This
well,
tax cut package
I love
was
the
a
fact,
3-for-1.
You're still in campaign mode. And we're not even a year through the first installment
you know what,
of this
Lou?
administration.
It's so disappointing because people wasted a year. His critics and his naysayers have wasted
you know what
one
the great
whole
thing is?
year trying to relitigate the last campaign.
The
and look at the
milk
accomplishments
of the
he has.
And the lefts. They look like the know-nothings they are. They look like bitter, ineffectual, hapless fools. I mean, there's just no other way to describe the enterprise that they've embarked upon, trying this collusion nonsense that's been knocked down at every turn, whether it's the FBI, whether it is investigating committees in the House or the Senate. They appear utter oafs. Senator Chuck Schumer, what does he have to show for 1 year of his career?
They've been holding up a stop sign.
The minority in the Senate. I mean,
they've been holding up a stop sign all year long. No, resist, obstruct. And it's a shame that no Democrats would support this historic tax package. And I do want to tell you, nobody here is campaigning. We're governing. And President Trump's governance, you see this 3-for-1 here today. ANWR, repealing the Obamacare mandate, reducing taxes. Look what AT&T did.
Don't ever apologize to me for campaigning.
I'm not apologizing.
I love campaigning.
But we're campaigning for
this
tax
president
cuts.
Campaigns, and he governs, and he delivers.
He does.
And
he delivers.
The hell with the expectations of the left-wing media, right?
But what I wanted to tell you, it even goes beyond the left-wing media. It goes to so many of his critics and naysayers. They spent the whole year talking about last year's campaign. It makes no sense to us. But look how the markets respond. What did AT&T do today? Practically the moment that this passed and the president was taken to the South Portico on live television, AT&T announced that they would give $1,000 bonuses to 200,000 employees. That's a fact. Everybody said the stock market's going to crash. We're going to go into a global recession. The companies aren't going to do what's right by their employees if they get the tax cuts. They've done exactly that. Everybody's responding now. They want to invest in their employees. We're going to get trillions of dollars of wealth repatriated back to this country. We're going to bring those jobs back to overseas. It's just so, it's a turning point day, Lou. It's a turning point day. It's very exciting. And people will remember that it was this president's leadership, his will, and his ability to deliver, not on a campaign promise, but on an imperative.
Well, I think the great thing today was those smiling faces behind the nation's leader, the leader of the free world. Those are smiling faces, and two of them belong to Paul Ryan and to Mitch McConnell.
Yes, they delivered.
They found that they can live lively, that they can rise above what they have been and recognize what is and look at the potential. And the president's leadership is doing precisely that. Now let's talk about the fights that are underway. And that is to keep the government running because of the fools who want to shut it down. Are you kidding? Because they want to fund programs for illegal immigrants? I mean, what is going on here?
It's going to be hard for them to do that. It's going to be very difficult for them to do that in the midst of this historic tax cut. I mean, everybody
How can they even say that with a straight face?
Well, exactly. It's going to be hard for them to do that. And we certainly hope that there won't be partisan, petty politics getting in the way of us fully funding our military and other important programs and obligations. So again, the CR comes next. We're confident that we can keep the government running, as you said in your opening statements. But I can't imagine in a year that has been marked with petty partisan politics, obstruction, resistance, no, collusion, delusions, and the rest, that the capper for the losing team is going to be shutting down the government, and they would be to blame for that. There's no question. Everybody saw today what happens when a president of action and resolve and delivery works with members of his party in both chambers, the House and Senate.
And what is this about
done.
the president, his chief of staff, John Kelly, meeting privately with a group of senators who include some of the most marginal senators? They hold no official status, and they are talking about DACA as if they are prepared to extend amnesty to what would be somewhere around as many as 5 million by some estimates. I mean, that must be surely misreported.
General Kelly's doing an amazing job here. He's a fabulous
leader.
You
don't have to convince me. I think he's doing an amazing job.
He is.
So stipulated.
He is.
But that
remember,
isn't what I asked.
We're already working on 2018 here at the White House in 2017.
That's why I thought I'd bring
and that
it up.
includes the president put forth a very bold, very robust 70-point immigration plan. It includes many things. DACA is part of that. The wall is a part of it.
Amnesty is part of that?
Thousands more.
Wait a minute. I'm confused. Because we know one thing from history. Every president who has talked amnesty before securing border security has lived through the consequences to his regret. Surely this administration would not proffer such a thing.
This is not every president. This is a unique president who, by the way, took the issues of immigration and trade.
I think I'm quite aware of the order of the presidencies. I am asking you a question as straightforwardly as it can be asked.
Which is
very simply, he wouldn't make the mistakes of the past and try to put amnesty ahead of border security, would he?
No, I'm going to say no to that because this president ran on border security, governs on border security. Once that wall built, he has said it time and again. It's never wavered. And more to the point, read the full 70-point plan. I commend your viewers to do that.
Are you suggesting I didn't?
I know you have. You've memorized
you're the most
it, and I bet your viewers have.
Friend I have.
I even know how to spell
that. In the White House. I mean, my goodness, sometimes you pick fights.
No, I'm not picking a fight.
Which part of the 70-point plan would you like to examine in detail?
I'd like America to realize that it is the wall, it's border security, but it's also equipping our brave men and women at the border with the resources they need.
Which of the 8 prototypes do you favor for construction immediately?
I favor building that wall. But look, the ICE agents, the merit-based system, the end-to-chain migration, this is all Donald Trump's vision on immigration.
Music to the ears of every American who loves this country.
Absolutely. The president talked about in the cabinet meeting today in front of the press pool. It was public information. No more visa lottery stuff, no more chain migration. That all ends. So it's a big, robust plan, and 2018 is around the corner, as is that.
I think we've got a countdown going right now. Kellyanne, thanks so much. Great to have you with us.
Thank you, Lou. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
God bless.
Happy New Year.
Thank you.
We're coming right back. Much more straight ahead. Stay with us. You don't want to miss any. This is just the beginning here. What Kellyanne has introduced is just the beginning. We'll be right back. President Trump delivers historic tax relief to hardworking Americans.
It's the largest tax cut in the history of our country and reform. We are making America great again.
We take up the major legislative victory for this president and what it means for the rest of his agenda in the new year. Congressman Sean Duffy is our guest. And another black eye for the Dems. New revelations that Congresswoman Debbie Wasserman Schultz's former IT worker had a money laundering operation with ties to Hezbollah. It sounds bad. It could even be worse. We'll have the full report for you next. Stay with us.
She calls it.
Dozens of Democrats tonight are threatening to shut down the government on the last business day before Christmas if Republicans don't give in to amnesty for millions of so-called dreamers. House Minority Leader Nancy Pelosi today sent a letter urging a no vote on the spending bill if Democratic values and priorities, including DACA, aren't quote-unquote respected. The minority leader herself personifies respect for all things Republican, don't you know? Joining us now, Congressman Sean Duffy, member of the House Financial Services Committee. And Congressman, quite a day. Congratulations. The Republican conference having its way and moving ahead in both houses. I mean, what a splendid victory for you all.
Lou, I got to tell you what, the sun was shining a little brighter today, that we actually passed tax reform. And if you look back just a couple months, you had liberal pundits and progressives saying, the Trump administration and Republican leadership can't accomplish anything. In here, we have done something historic. We have given one of the largest tax reform packages to the American people, which is a Christmas gift, letting them keep more of their own money and spend it themselves instead of people in this town. Radical thought that we let businesses and corporations keep more of their money too, to invest it and innovate and create, which hires more of our families and gives more opportunities to our families. Mm-hmm. This is a great day, and I got to tell you what, it was really unique. And I know you haven't always been the nicest to the Speaker of the House, my friend from Wisconsin,
You're
Paul
being
Ryan.
Very kind to both of us. I've been downright nasty and critical because
you have been nasty.
On various occasions he earned it.
But I got to tell you what, this was a big day. You saw Paul Ryan, Mitch McConnell, and Donald Trump leveraging all the leadership they all had together to make this thing happen. And it was an impressive day. And even with, the left-wing media is bashing the bill. But the left-wing media is bashing the bill. Misinformation coming from the left. But we know this is going to work for the American people, and that's why we're doing it.
Congressman, if you weren't a former lumberjack and a hell of a guy, but since you did bring it up, I want to give absolutely to both the majority leader and the Speaker their due, because they got in line and drove forward, as did their leadership teams, and to see the president standing there with them, and to hear Mitch McConnell actually acknowledge the leadership of the president, to hear Paul Ryan actually acknowledge the leadership of the president. Let me tell you, the American people are happier than hell tonight, because they've actually got a team working, and they actually know who the hell the quarterback is suddenly.
Hearing those words come out of your mouth, if I had a window right now, I looked outside, there might be pigs flying that you're saying such nice things about the Speaker of the House, but I'm going to take it. But you're right to give credit where
you're
credit's due.
You're going to have to play the video for your lovely wife as well, because you won't believe it either.
And that's big of you, because, we had a great quarterback. Donald Trump was able to sell this tax package to the American people. Make sure, listen, in our party, we have some outliers. Donald Trump made sure he brought them all together and unified everybody. He had great team players in the leadership in the House and the Senate. And this is historic. So, I think everyone deserves credit, and I'm happy you're giving it to the whole team. And
absolutely.
Thank you for that.
Well-earned credit. And let's talk about what's before you, and that is the looming possibility of a shutdown come Friday midnight. What are the odds that you will be able to avoid such a thing?
Listen, I think we're going to be able to avoid a shutdown, but here's what has to happen. Republicans have to stay together behind a Republican plan, because if you don't have 218 Republican votes, then what happens is Republican leaders, Paul Ryan, will have to go over to Nancy Pelosi to try to find votes to keep the government open. And when you do that, only bad liberal things come our way. We just had a conference tonight. I think Republicans are going to stick together. One of the points of issue are, can we fund the government to the end of the fiscal year, as opposed to just doing a 4-week CR for military spending? And that's a big deal, Lou, as you know, and you've reported. We have American ships crashing into each other, planes falling out of the sky. Our men and women are dying because we're not funding the military. And CRs under Obama levels, which means we're funding the government under Obama levels, only hurts our military. So this is a point of contention that we're going to have to resolve. And if we do, we're going to get a Republican bill out of the House without Nancy Pelosi's imprint, without her push for DACA right now, send it to the Senate, and we're going to go home for Christmas. and we'll let the Senate figure out their dysfunction, which is, I think, a good strategy.
I think that it sounds like a winning strategy, and you all are demonstrating you know how to win now. And I just want to, again, conclude with congratulations to you and to your conference and your leadership.
If I can make one other point, Lou, too, and I know we got to go, but I think success begets success. And having these teams figure out how to work together and win together, I think that only creates opportunities for more success as we look to the coming year. And as someone mentioned today, Donald Trump may very well be one of the greatest presidents we've had, who's offered more growth and more opportunity and better wages than we've seen in recent years. And this is going to be historic. This is great for the American family. And I'm proud to be part of this team that's accomplishing these kind of goals. So thanks for the kind words tonight, Lou. We appreciate it.
Well, thank you for all you're doing for the country. It's great to be able to say that to you and to the Republicans and Republican leadership, and of course this president. Thanks so much, Congressman Sean Duffy. Be sure to vote in our poll tonight. The question is, do you believe the defeated, desperate Dems so hate President Trump that they would shut down the entire government if only they could? Cast your vote on Twitter at Lou Dobbs as we look evil in the eye. And follow me on Twitter at Lou Dobbs. Like me on Facebook. Follow me on Instagram at Lou Dobbs Tonight. On Wall Street today, stocks closed modestly lower. The Dow fell 28 points. The S&P, the Nasdaq, both down 2 points. Volume on the big board down to 3.1 billion shares. I think the holiday shopping season is now in full gear. Existing home sales hitting the highest level in 11 years, climbing 5.6% last month. And AT&T, as Kellyanne Conway pointed out, is giving out a Trump bonus, cutting most American employees a $1,000 check, boosting capital spending by $1 billion, all thanks to the tax cuts. A reminder to listen to my reports 3 times a day, coast to coast on the Salem Radio Network. Up next, new reports of disturbing ties between a former IT aide to Congresswoman Debbie Wasserman Schultz and the Iranian-backed terrorist group Hezbollah. The full report straight ahead. Stay with us. We're coming right back. Shocking new developments tonight in the investigation of Imran Awan, the former IT aide to literally dozens of House Democrats. He now faces fraud charges. Fox News correspondent Doug McElway has our report on the possible ties between Awan's family and the terrorist group Hezbollah.
It was called Cars International A, CIA for short, a used car dealership in Falls Church, Virginia, that a lawsuit alleges gave a bad name to used car dealers everywhere. Often bankrupt, the dealership took loans from a Hezbollah-linked businessman in Lebanon.
They've got basically fake staffers. They don't have inventory. If someone shows up wanting to buy a car, they go across the street and borrow one.
The owner, Imran Awan, the same man who, along with 4 family members, was paid $7 million taxpayer dollars to provide IT services to 44 Democratic members of Congress, including then DNC chairwoman Debbie Wasserman Schultz. During Awan's IT work, $120,000 of computer equipment went missing. Imran was arrested on unrelated bank fraud charges at Dulles Airport in July as he tried to flee to Pakistan. A Daily Caller News Foundation piece posted today found that Awan's used car business fit a curious pattern cited in a recent Politico investigation.
This was a classic money laundering operation that is used by Hezbollah. Pakistani intel like ISI uses them as well. There were reasons, political reasons, why even as our nation's security was at stake, prosecutors didn't want to bring charges.
The IT scandal occurred in the same time frame that Politico reports the Obama administration was pulling back on interdiction of Hezbollah drug operations, allegedly so as not to jeopardize the nuclear deal with Iran. Heading up the Obama administration's Organized Crime Drug Enforcement Task Force at the time was Deputy Attorney General Bruce Orr was demoted this month after Fox News' James Rosen reported that he had concealed meetings with Fusion GPS, the company which commissioned the anti-Trump dossier, and that Orr's wife, Nellie, worked for Fusion.
There appears to be a cover-up. There's really no other way to look at it. Think about the timing of this. It's shortly before the 2016 election. WikiLeaks has just published the DNC emails. How is that not routed to the highest levels of the FBI?
This at least cries out for a serious investigation when you got people who have money problems hanging out with and getting a loan from someone who is known to hang out with Hezbollah, and they have access to the server for dozens and dozens of Democrat elected officials.
Late today, Fox News confirmed that the House Oversight Committee will be launching an investigation in the next few days. Imran Awan downloaded literally thousands and thousands of Democratic members' emails onto external hard drives. If spying charges were brought against him, there would be no shortage of potential blackmail material that might be released. Law enforcement, under pressure from Democrats, may be willing to let this sleeping dog lie. Lou, back to you.
Thank you very much, Doug McCalloway. Amazing story. We're coming right back. By the way, we won't let those particular sleeping dogs lie. We're coming right back. Much more straight ahead. Stay with us. The House Intelligence Committee to issue new subpoenas next week after interrogating FBI Deputy Director Andrew McCabe. We'll discuss McCabe's conflicts of interest and the efforts of the deep state to carry out a coup against President Trump. Congressman Matt Gaetz joins us here next. And some fishermen waiting for hours to reel in the perfect catch. And some are just at the right place at the right time. We'll have the video you don't want. The House Intelligence Committee is readying more subpoenas to issue after yesterday's 8-hour interrogation of Deputy FBI Director Andrew McCabe. Members of the committee say McCabe's testimony was riddled with contradictions and inconsistencies. That committee isn't saying who else will be called or issued these subpoenas, but McCabe's attorney and demoted Department of Justice official Bruce Orr may be right at the top of the list. Joining me now, Republican Congressman Matt Gaetz of Florida. He sits on the Judiciary, Budget, and Armed Services Committee. Congressman, great to have you with us. And I swear to you, every time we talk, it's as if we've gone another dimension into the twilight zone when it comes to trying to get honesty, forthrightness out of the intelligence agencies that for whom you have oversight on Capitol Hill. And they must, McCabe must think you all are just complete idiots to contradict himself and be as inconsistent as he has been. What do you make of it?
The good news, Lou, is that the American people know the truth. A recent Harvard poll showed that 54% of Americans understand that the Mueller probe has been riddled with conflicts of interest. This entire Mueller investigation is a cesspool of corruption, and the only way we're going to disinfect this is with sunshine. That's why I don't think we should be calling witnesses for closed-door private meetings with members of Congress. We need to have these hearings open and in the public and under oath so that the American people can see whether or not their taxpayer money was used to commingle with Russians and dig up false dirt about the president. The American people deserve to know whether or not this dossier was dressed up as an intelligence document and used as a basis to spy on Americans. And we certainly need to know if there are currently people at the highest levels of the Department of Justice and the FBI who harbor a bias against the president that they are willing to act on to discredit the man we elected to lead this country.
And how can anyone not say, bravo, let's do that, Congressman Gaetz, because the American people need to know what's going on now. Because it on every level, it looks like the uttermost officials of the FBI and the Justice Department are as crooked as they can be.
Well, Lou, I'm pretty new to the Congress, but here's what I've noticed. The FBI is dying to get members of Congress in a classified setting to then share information that is embarrassing to the FBI, because then we won't be able to talk about it with the American people. And so I'm resisting that. I'm saying I don't think that I'm worthy of answers that the American people aren't worthy of. It's the American people who elected Donald Trump. It's their money that's at issue when the FBI goes and gives the company employing Nellie Orr, the wife of Bruce Orr, the resources to be able to go and work with Democrats and work with the Russians. It's entirely possible, Lou, that this entire Trump-Russia narrative was made up to distract all of us from the very real collusion that occurred between the Democratic Party and the Russian Federation.
By the way, as Congressman Jim Jordan has pointed out on numerous times, amongst others, that's precisely what it looks like. And it looks like everyone at the uppermost levels of the FBI and Department of Justice have been working for somebody else, not the American people.
Well, and that's not you and I just speculating, Lou. That's the very text messages that Peter Strzok was sending to his mistress, saying that, he never could believe any world in which Donald Trump would win. Hillary should win 100 million to 0, but that he would be the insurance policy, that he had a plan, that he was praising his mistress for hatching the plan in Andy's office. Obviously, Andrew McCabe, who will be testifying before the Judiciary Committee tomorrow, but unfortunately, that testimony will be behind closed doors. I am calling on congressional leadership and my colleagues to demand answers, not just for us, but for all of the American people who deserve to know what happened, and then we need to drive the reforms to make sure that this never happens again. We need transparency, we need oversight, and we never need to empower an FBI director or a special counsel to go and curate a group of people that have a bias against one person and for another person.
I couldn't agree with you more. Congressman, thanks for being with us. We appreciate it.
Thank you, Lou.
Congressman Matt Gaetz. Be sure to vote on our poll. The question tonight, do you believe the defeated, desperate Dems so hate President Trump that they would shut down the entire government if only they could? Cast your vote on Twitter at Lou Dobbs. And if you would, please roll the video and watch as this Asian carp, whoa! Never knew it was so easy to catch fish. Leaping out of the Missouri River onto an unsuspecting fisherman's boat. He sort of gives it away that he was unsuspecting there, doesn't he? The fish nearly hit the fisherman in the face during the surprise run. I mean, that thing would pack a wallop. That is no minor size fish. It gets everybody's heart started. Up next, President Trump being lauded for his leadership in enacting tax cuts.
Mr. President, I have to say that you're living up to everything I thought you would. You're one heck of a leader. You stop and think about it, this president hasn't even been in office for a year. And look at all the things that he's been able to get done.
And Senator Orrin Hatch went on to say he may well be the greatest president in history. We'll take up his once-in-a-generation victory with former Trump transition advisor Ken Blackwell here next. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Stay with us. President Trump today reminding Americans he's committed to building the wall.
We're calling on Congress to fund the border wall, which we're getting very close to. We're working on that. We have some wonderful prototypes that have been put up, and I may be going there very shortly to look at them in their final form.
Well, joining us tonight, Ken Blackwell, former Ohio State Treasurer, policy advisor to President Trump's transition team. Ken, great to see you. The president
Good to be with you, Lou.
It's great to have you, to see you. The president has been talking about prototypes now for a while. How convinced should we be about this wall going up?
Well, the president understands that there is a link between economic prosperity and national security, and that the wall protecting our borders is part of his national security plan. And so you ought to just bank on it. This president has been clear. He's basically said that we had a choice as a nation. We could choose to expand the welfare state, or we could create an economic opportunity society with economic expansion, job creation, economic uplift, and that will also translate into making sure that the men and women who are protecting us both domestically and globally were paid a decent wage, and that they had all of the equipment that they needed to secure our nation and our people's well-being.
You know, this president,
and he is the leader. He's the leader to take us there.
Yeah, there's no question about that. I certainly, you and I, as we've discussed many times, couldn't agree more. But here is the hard reality: things are worse than even President Trump acknowledged as a candidate, and he was the only candidate who was talking straight about where we had gone in misadventures, whether it was Iraq, whether it was in constraining our military. The awful cutbacks in our military. I mean, we have aircraft that are too often in daily, hourly use, upon which we depend greatly, that are over 30 years old on average. The fleets, of whether they're fighters or bombers, the Strategic Air Command is in even worse shape. we're flying 60-year-old aircraft.
Absolutely.
And the Army is dealing with. We've got 3 combat brigades. Are you kidding me? That's got to be fixed now. And this president is the only one driving the
absolutely.
message.
Oh, absolutely, Lou. And I hope that this success that the House and the Senate and the president are experiencing together will lead the Congress to continue to work with this president as he works to not only expand our economy, get us the growth that we need, to make sure that the money is put behind his 2 principal obligations as leader of this country and the free world. One is the security of this nation's people, and 2 is to make sure that we have economic prosperity. Because one of the things that he realizes, not only does he understand the nature of capital and the need to change the flow of capital coming back into the country, and he's doing this with this tax proposal, he also understands that
Ken,
the only way that we're going to be able to balance the budget, to balance the budget is to make sure that we, in fact, have the economic growth so we can put the money against the military and national security.
Absolutely. As he puts it, prosperity for all Americans. Ken, great to see you, my friend.
Absolutely, Lou.
Thanks for being with us.
I'm glad to be able to do the happy dance with you and Steve Forbes.
Anytime, partner. We'll let everybody worry about what we mean by that. Thanks so much, Ken Blackwell. Up next, President Trump takes his tax cut victory lap while the defeated Dems cry foul. We'll talk with businessman Herman Cain right after the break. Stay with us.